What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY in the overall markets. I'm going to break down some news involving Elon Musk that came out, how the PCE data is looking, what reaction we're getting thus far, and some very, very key levels to watch for. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposits $2,000 and you're guaranteed 30 in total, and the offer ends very soon at the end of March. So as far as Tesla's going, I just want to mention that we have this yellow trend line of resistance that's been slowing Tesla down for many months. And right now, I think Tesla's going to attempt to test this. We'll have to see if Tesla could break this to try to get back up to 414 and 420, or if we get a rejection. I am hoping we try to break this looking at the current trends, but we'll see just to be safe. Now, the market is in a very critical place as we're starting to see these new pieces of news being reiterated from Tesla's earnings. Tesla has, claims by Elon Musk that the paid robotaxi service is going to be launching in June in different parts of Texas, and then it's going to be expanding in California. They're starting off with dipping a toe in the water before expanding it to more places. So still very, very bullish news. I'm still seeing a lot of headlines just reiterating things from earnings. Tesla's earnings weren't the best, but they did offset that with lots of talk about AI, and a lot of bullish catalysts did come out because of that. We have lots of price upgrades looking at what Morgan Stanley has said about Tesla, so we'll see if this helps the share price. And for now, investors remain more optimistic. We had some more data that came out that was more positive for the markets. Excuse me, guys. Let me just go back like this. We had core PCE month over month at 0.2%, aligned with expectations. Coming back down right here where my cursor is, we had PCE month over month for all items at 0.3%. So that's aligned with expectations. Pretty much everything's aligned with expectations with all items PCE year over year at 2.6% and core at 2.8% year over year. Once again, aligned with expectations. So everything's aligned with expectations thus far, which is a good sign for the markets. And there's no other major pieces of data coming out, except we have the Chicago PMI at 9:45 a.m. might cause some volatility. So we'll see about that. But like I said before, PCE is decent and the market's pushing as a result. What else is helping the market is the fact that Apple is pumping. Yes, Apple's earnings were not the best, looking at their Chinese revenues falling and their iPhone sales slipping. But despite that, they had good guidance calling for revenue growth. And they also mentioned that as time goes on, there's still very, very good demand that still exists. And despite the fact that people were expecting weak earnings, they still managed to get an all-time high in their revenue. So, they had decent earnings overall. Some things were misses, such as like iPhone sales, but they managed to offset that with good guidance, and that's why the share price is pumping right now. The share price is pumping, and this is what's helping the market to some extent. Besides that, there was that very, very sad news that came out involving American Airlines and the U.S. Army helicopter colliding. So I just want to send condolences to all the families that are involved. And besides that, I didn't see anything else that was too crazy on the news. So I just wanted to call that out. Besides that, ExxonMobil just announced earnings. Exxon has a net income of about $7.61 billion, and earnings were pretty decent overall. Revenue was down about 1%, but very mixed. However, the share price is still up because of the fact that their production was still decent with good demand. So that's what helped the share price continue to grow. They had decent earnings, good productions, and I think that could help the share price to some extent. Anyways, that's it for news about the market right now. Let's just focus on Tesla. So what's going on is the same thing from yesterday. Tesla's going to attempt to test this trend line right over here. Once we test this, if Tesla cannot hold above this yellow trend line around that 405 area, we could reject and return to like the 390 area. Okay. But if we break past the resistance up here, all the way back into like the 400 area, and we retest this trend line, we could start breaking out to about 414, and eventually to like the 420 area. So watch these levels very, very closely just to see if 414 breaks, and eventually the 420s, and we'll see what ends up happening at least from here. So watch this yellow trend line of resistance, see if we break through this. And if we continue to break it, I think that Tesla's going to be looking for 414 and 420 as our targets. If we can't break and hold above 405 and we reject, we're returning to about 390 possibly. So we'll see, guys, how well Tesla tries to break out. Don't forget there's a high put to call ratio. There's 3 puts for every call expiring for SPY, or even more than that. So we'll see if this leads to some kind of squeeze. I want to see Tesla break the trend line. That's all I'm watching for. Yesterday we struggled to do it, so we'll see if we do it today. There will be an attempt to test it. So look for a small push upon open to that like 405 area, maybe a little bit below that. And we'll see if Tesla rejects or not. I would love to see Tesla break through this. So we'll see. So just keep that in mind. As far as SPY is going, we're bullish. We're approaching the all-time high, but this is where you want to be a little bit careful. So SPY is going to push to like 608 to 610 in this range. Then we'll see, does SPY get a rejection back down to like 604 or below? Or do we just continue to soar past 610? So if we soar past that 608 to 610 area, we push for 612 and eventually 615. If we don't hold above 610 and we reject off 608 to 610, then we could be dipping back down. So keep that in mind, guys. We already made this move to fill the gap, which is great. But we have to see if we can sustain these levels, because every time SPY hits 610, we did reject in the past. So I'm not saying we will reject. I'm just saying to be careful, because it's going to be a tough resistance, okay? So could we go higher? Yes, we could go a little higher. We filled the gap already. We're already up quite a bit in the after hours thanks to, we're up in the pre-markets thanks to PCE. But if we reject off 610, we could turn back down. If we break 610, I'm looking for 612 and 615 for a continuation for the next leg up. So we'll see, do we break 610 or not on SPY? On the QQQ, we're pushing to fill this gap. We might push a little bit more to try to fill this gap up here. Whoops. And then once we get up to this resistance, we're going to be looking for, 530 to 533 in this range right here. Do we end up projecting near the low 530s? Right, we did get like 2-3 rejections here in the past, so it's going to be a tough resistance zone. Do we push to like 535 and then see a rejection back down, or do we break past 530, 533 and start pushing past 535 to the next all-time high? Well, look for more upside closer to 530, and we'll see if we get a rejection or not. So this might continue to go a little higher, so keep that in mind. But be careful, the closer we get to 530, that's when we approach that resistance between 530 and 535 on the QQQ. If we break past 533 to 535, we're bullish. And if we reject, we could be turning back down. So that's my view right now. Look for a little bit more upside, just like this. Then we'll be watching this range up here. Do we break out to new all-time highs and break 535? If we break that, we're going to be soaring much higher to 540. Or do we lose support right over here at 523 and start dipping back down towards below 520? It depends, guys. So look for a bit more upside and watch and see what happens. For the Russell 2000, same setup. This is just stuck in the middle. We're at resistance at 230. We have support at 225. This is looking a bit more bullish with the inverse head and shoulders setup. So what could happen is we dip here and maybe try to continue to go higher. If we break resistance at 230, we're looking for 232.5 plus. If we end up losing support at 226, we're looking for a dip closer to like 224. Could go either way, so watch your levels just to be safe. So keep that in mind. For ES, we're looking bullish. We're about to fill this gap up here, which is awesome. But just know that as far as ES goes, we have this tough resistance zone between 61.25 and 61.60. So I think what's going to happen is we push a little bit more in this resistance zone. Could we go all the way up to resistance? We'll see about that. But then watch, does ES break out of this? If we break past 6160, we're looking for an attempt to get to 6200, okay? If we don't break past this, if we push to like 6150 and we don't hold above this and we reject below 6125, there's a risk of us returning to about 6080. So can we break past 6160 to be bullish, or do we lose 6120 and start turning back down? I'll be watching that very closely. We have the potential to push to a new all-time high, but be careful at this resistance. NQ, same thing. This is bullish right now. We were calling this out yesterday. As you can see, we're pumping. We have this gap to fill, so I do anticipate pumps a little bit more to 2180, if not 22,000. So we'll see. Do we reject off 22,000 like this and return back down to like 21,600 below? Or we break 22,000, start pushing for higher levels like 22,100. So watch that very closely. I'll see which way we end up going from here. For a few more, we have Bitcoin. Bitcoin is trying to ride this trend line up. As long as we hold this, we can slowly inch to 106,000. If we lose 103,000, we dip back down. Nvda is kind of flat right now. We need to see if it could hold the support at this wedge. If we get a big bounce, this could launch the market even higher. So watch and see. We're getting very tight, so we're waiting to see. As long as we hold above 120, we're looking for a bounce to 132. If 120 fails us, we could be dipping to like 117 again, but I'm hoping that we hold 120 and start bouncing for 132. Once again, for Tesla, I just want to see us try to break this yellow trend line of resistance. If we break this, this could attempt to go for 414 and 420 as our targets. Apple's looking bullish. We called out 246 in my video yesterday. Inverse head and shoulders setup. Right, we have this like left shoulder here. This is like our head, and then this is like our right shoulder. So this could lead to a lot more upside to the 250s if we continue to break out. Just a few more. We have coin. Actually, hold on. Let me go back to Apple real quick. I think I forgot to say something. If 246 holds, we want to get back above 248. And if 248 breaks, we're looking for the 250s. If we end up losing support at 245, we're looking for a dump to 240. I'm favoring upside a little bit more. I want to see us try to hold above 246 to remain bullish. Overall, it is a bullish setup, but we'll see if we hold above 246. Coin is looking more bullish. We could be looking for an attempt to get back up to 306 to 308. If we end up losing 300, we're looking for 292 as our support, so we still look bullish. Amazon's looking bullish. We're trying to bounce here. We have a gap to fill below, but as long as we're above 235, we could push for 240. If we lose 232, we could turn back down below 230, so be careful, but we still look bullish for now. Meta's on a nice uptrend. If we end up losing 680, we could be dipping to 673. And if we break past 700, we remain bullish. I think we could be pushing for 700, by the way. For Microsoft, we're trying to hold support here at this like 410 area. So this could be looking for an attempt to push up to about 424. If we end up losing 412, we could be dipping lower. But I think that this is favoring an attempt to bounce for 424. For Google, we look a bit more bullish. As long as you break past 202, we're looking for an attempt to push for 205 or above and eventually the 210s. If we end up losing 200, we're looking for a dip back down to 198. I would say that we're breaking out right here, so it looks bullish for the time being. So my view of the market is very simple. I see upside potential, but just be careful because we have to see how we react to resistance as SPY is testing the all-time high and the QQQ is near it. And then Tesla has this trend line of resistance. We'll see if Tesla breaks, guys. I hope we break through this to get to 414 and 420. So we'll see. If we can't break past resistance, we're looking for a move back down to 390. So watch it very carefully, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one, and peace out.